Good morning. If you're on the west side, if you're on the left side of the U.S. on the West Coast, good afternoon if you're in the New York area. Good evening if you're in Europe. And if you're catching this broadcast on another planet, maybe the waves, the electronic waves are filtering through the universe and you're checking it out. Hello, how are you? We keep going. That's the thing. That's the thing about this life. All these obstacles, all this craziness that's happening around us. The only thing we can do, keep going. And that's what I'm doing here on the Jazz Video Guide channel with this show. Out of My Head, the Bret Primack Show. And this week, the best of the best. When I say the best, I'm talking about the best. Today we're going to look at videos from a special Miles Davis tribute from the 1992 Live Under the Sky Jazz Festival in Japan, which along with the Mount Fuji Jazz Festival, two of the best jazz festivals ever. Miles died in 91, so at this festival in 92, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Ron Carter, Tony Williams, and special guest Wallace Rooney played So What. We're going to be looking at that a little later. And also before that, Mulgrew Miller, the great pianist who left us much too soon from the European Festival. I forget which one at the moment. Trio with Buster Williams and Jimmy Cobb. Of course, Jimmy Cobb being the link to Miles Davis. Jimmy Cobb was Miles's drummer on Kind of Blue and after that, with Buster Williams on bass, and they play You and the Night and the Music. Before that, we're going to check out, and I'll be coming back to talking between these things. Just want to give you a little preview, get things rolling so people can join the party. We'll be getting started with the video shortly. Before that, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, 1987 Mount Fuji Jazz Festival, a tribute to Art Blakey of sorts, and Blue Note Records, with a big band featuring many Jazz Messenger alumni. It's a long, incredible list, one of the great universities of jazz. And with Freddie Hubbard, they play the Bobby Timmons composition, Moanin. Before that, also in Japan, the Jaco Pastorious Big Band, also from 1982, from a jazz festival. They play with special guests. Good morning, Joyce. They play special guests. They play Liberty City, Jaco's great composition, and feature Bob Mintzer, Randy Brecker, Toots Thielmans, amazing group of musicians. I mean, 1982, that's 40 years ago. That's a long time. Music is still very powerful. This particular video, the quality, not that great, but the music is important. And we're going to be opening up here with something that I absolutely love, and many others do as well. This is the Pat Metheny Group, also from the Live Under the Sky Jazz Festival. Are You Good? doing it. Wow. Incredible. That guitar solo blows my mind every time I hear it. It just beyond words. I could never be a critic. I can't describe music. I can talk about the people. That's my specialty, but I can't describe it. It just makes me feel really good. What else can I say? I call that Pat's first group. The one he had with Lyle Mays on piano, keyboards, and Paul Wardico on drums. And Pat's an interesting man. He has never stayed in one place for very long. I remember when he burst on the scene with that first group in the 70s, people really got into his music, into his guitar playing, but he kept changing over the years, many different configurations, with a strong connection to Brazilian music, certainly. Welcome everyone who has joined us this morning. Let's see here, 3 minutes a day. Yeah, it's anytime's a good time to listen to watch Pat Metheny. Yes, and you are correct, Stephen. That's signature Pat Metheny sound of connecting his guitar to a synthesizer, and I mean, perhaps other people have tried to duplicate that, but Pat's got a lock on it. You know it's him immediately by the sound and by his conception, the way he plays. And that's a very popular Pat Metheny video. There's a number of different versions of it, several different recorded versions, all good. And, someone who, there's a connection in jazz between many of the musicians, and someone who played with Pat when he first arrived and went on to become one of the major, what would we say, major cats on his particular instrument was Jaco Pastorious. Yeah. Jaco, it's a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. If you want to know the entire Jaco story, pick up Bill Mulkowski's great biography. He was a friend of Jaco's and knew him and tells the story in a really dynamic way, a story that needs to be told and needs to be heard. But certainly it's the music that matters. I remember when Jaco arrived at Weather Report in the mid 70s, changed electric bass playing, that's for sure. And that was a very exciting group. Pardon me. In particular, I saw that band, the Momentito, Agua, es necesario. I saw that band, the Weather Report with Jaco, with Peter Erskine on drums. And of course, Peter was heard here with the Word of Mouth Big Band accordingly, where did that come? There's no accordion players here. Randy Brecker on trumpet, some of his early work with the electric trumpet. Bob Mintzer on soprano saxophone. Toots Thielman, the great harmonic player from Belgium, wonderful man. And Peter Erskine on drums, Don Elias on percussion. The personnel flashed by there. Oh, just a great group. This was in '82 at the Oryx Jazz Festival in Japan. Unfortunately, a couple years later, Jaco was gone. And I picked up a video the other day of Jaco with Bill Evans, not with Bill Evans, with Gil Evans. Jaco sitting with Gil Evans, big band, at the same festival. That is rather disturbing to watch because of his antics. And he took off his shirt, he put mud all over his body, but he played great. And maybe that's why it's such a tragedy. Certainly, his influence continues to be felt, and his music is great. The stuff he did with Weather Report and also with his own group, most notably the big band. Speaking of big bands here, this is a kind of a one or two-time big band from the 1987 Mount Fuji Jazz Festival. None other than the great Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, a big band version of the Messengers, with Freddie Hubbard on trumpet doing Bobby Timmons' classic Moanin'. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, Freddie Hubbard. He loved competition. I don't want to say he was a show off, but he wasn't afraid to rise to the occasion, as he usually did when he picked up the trumpet. And certainly a reunion of the Art Blakey Big Band, the Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. You may have noticed in the personnel there. Well, it was Peter Washington on bass and Benny Green on piano. Of course, Art Blakey on drums. And you may have seen in the background there Bobby Watson on alto. James Spaulding was on alto there. Javon Jackson was on tenor. Billy Pierce was on tenor. Michael Philip Mossman was in the trumpet section there. And one of those special times when a lot of musicians got together and inspired each other. And certainly Art Blakey's contribution to jazz is extremely important because not only did he make some incredible music, play incredible music, and I'm sorry, that was not Stanley Clarke on guitar, that was Stanley Jordan on guitar. So Bobby Watson is still playing. Unfortunately, we lost Freddie Hubbard much too soon. James Spaulding, I'm not sure if he's around, but Bobby Watson, Billy Pierce. I think I saw Robin Eubanks in there, Javon Jackson. They're still with us. But the legacy of Art Blakey, not only his music, but the fact that almost 50 years, the Jazz Messengers was one of the premier groups in jazz, gave us everyone you saw there, plus Wayne Shorter and Lee Morgan and Cedar Walton and many other incredible players over the years. Sometimes people describe it as hard bop. I don't like to put labels on it, but it was always swinging. As you could hear, Art Blakey's very, very strong beat. He really had a very strong sense of swing. And he also had the ability to, as Joyce said, find the best musicians and bring them into the group, and then they would go on. And those Blue Note albums, I mean, those are classics. People are, well, I personally think most jazz is classic, but I think those Blue Note records are going to survive eternally. The people who played in the group have become some of our leading players. And Art Blakey was a fascinating guy. I got a chance to spend some time with him. He was a character, but a good man, a big heart, and definitely looked out for a lot of people. Wynton Marsalis got us started in that group. And another musician who I have tremendous respect for as a person and as a musician, played piano with Art Blakey for a number of years, and his name is Mulgrew Miller. Talk about taste and elegance. Mulgrew Miller with Buster Williams on bass and the great Jimmy Cobb on drums. You and the Night and the Music, something from the Great American Songbook. Before we jump out of here, I got something else to play for you, something that's going to set the world on fire. something I recently encountered, also from the Live Under the Sky Jazz Festival. But before that, I just want to say a few words about next week's show, which I call Jazz 1975. I'm going to feature excerpts from the 1975-76 PBS Soundstage show, I forgot the name of it. Oh, yeah. Soundscape? I don't know. It'll come back to me. Dave, the Mulgrew Miller piece was recorded in 1994. So next week's show features the Downbeat poll winners from 1975. Of course, Downbeat magazine has been around for a long, long time, and they've had two polls every year, the readers poll and the critics poll. The critics poll being quite different than the readers poll. Readers poll being very popular. And over the years, a lot of our favorite artists have been winners in the poll. And it took until 1975 for TV producers to actually put together a show with poll winners. And next week's video clips of complete performances include music from Weather Report, the early edition, 75, the pre-Jaco edition with Wayne Shorter and Joe Zawinul, Alphonso Johnson on bass. I think it was Chester Thompson on drums at that point. And then we'll also hear from Freddie Hubbard playing with Chick Corea and Stanley Clarke and Lenny White. Stanley Clarke and Lenny White are the bass, and Chick Corea, that's the rhythm section for the show. But Stanley and Lenny White join McCoy Tyner for some music. And then they're joined by Sonny Rollins as well. And also on the show are George Benson and Bill Watrous and Hubert Laws and Airto. And it's a show I've enjoyed for many years. I wish there was a really good copy of it. I'm not surprised it has not been released on DVD because of rights. Yes, these are the issues that plague those of us who are trying to document the music and put it up on the web. But what's coming up here is a Miles Davis tribute. Miles died in 1991, and in 92, this tribute was produced at the Live Under the Sky Jazz Festival in Japan with Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Tony Williams, and they're joined by Wallace Roney, who says a few words about what it's like to play with these guys. This is next level shit. I mean, I've heard Herbie play great many times, but something, sometimes there's just like a special occasion. Maybe it's because it was a Miles tribute and Miles had just passed. Maybe it was playing with these people. I mean, Herbie always seemed at his best when he was playing with Ron and Tony and Wayne, sometimes with Freddie, sometimes with Wallace Roney. But this version of So What is nothing short of incredible. So thanks for being here today for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to be available on demand. I'm going to put the timings of the tracks on there so you can jump to that in case you want to check that out. And please join me next week for what do I always say? I noticed that when I watch myself, you always say a lot. Join me next week for a show I'm calling Jazz 1975. But here is Jazz 1992 with a tribute to Miles Davis.
There's several ways to approach it. I mean, one could be that there's just a soloist in front and everybody's in the background. But this is not the kind of atmosphere that Miles wanted to create or to have around him.
It's hard to explain that to people because they want real strange stories or they want some real far out stories. But when you think of someone who says to Miles Davis is my friend, They know what friend means, but they're unable to think of him being a friend to somebody because he's such a wonderful, such a great, such a genius.
Yeah.
But I think of him as my friend.
Miles didn't teach so much by showing you specifically play this chord or play that chord or that kind of thing. At least that wasn't the way he approached anybody in the band that we had. So there weren't specific things about playing this rhythm or playing these notes or playing any of that stuff. One of the main things that I learned about was teamwork.
Well, to play with these guys, it's the greatest. It's just the greatest, but I think you know that already. I think people know that how it's heaven. It's the greatest thing could ever happen to me. Second, after playing with Miles.